Hey guys, Stan here from Rocky Creek. Welcome back. So today I kind of got a situation that I'm going to try my best to fix so that way I can have me a functioning freezer that will only cost me very little bit of an investment. So this freezer right here, we already have a freezer that is about twice this size in our garage. But as we're trying to increase our meat production, we need more freezer space. Well, a friend of mine came across this one from somebody that he knew, and it actually works. It freezes very well, and it was free, but there's a problem. So the issue is that they had their power go out and they didn't realize it. And all their meat that they had in this freezer ended up spoiling to the point that it was really, really bad. They've tried to get the smell out and had no success. So they just plugged it back in so it would cool back down to eliminate the smell, and have done nothing with it for quite a while. So we went ahead and brought it back here, and since then I have pulled the drain plugs out of it. I have cleaned it with bleach, and I've also cleaned it with some various cleaners and let it air out, and I had no success. I also read online where you could try baking soda and charcoal. I think it's activated charcoal. I put that in here. That didn't work either. The smell has dissipated to some degree, but it's still pretty bad. And I don't want my food to smell like this. So I'm gonna try one last thing to try to fix the issue. And I've actually used this product before in a vehicle, but they have another item that is specific to spoiled food smell. And I'm gonna share that with you, and we're gonna put it to the test and see if it works, because you may also come across a free freezer or refrigerator for your food preservation that maybe has the same situation. And maybe this will work, and maybe it won't. If it don't waste your money on it either, and maybe that'll be helpful. But let's show you what we got and show you what we'll try. So guys, here's the product that I got. This is from a company called Biocide Systems, and I actually used one of these for the first time about a year ago. Now, just like as with anything we put to the test, I bought this on my own. There's no affiliation, so this is 100% an honest review. But I used one of these. They make one for a car, and I got a car from somebody that was a smoker, and I'm not a smoker, and so I didn't really care for that smell. So I actually used one of these in that car, and it significantly improved the smell in that vehicle. This one is technically designed as a room shocker. This one is considered one of their most potent and strength ones, and it does up to, I believe, 400 square feet of floor space or one room. But if you notice on here, for some of what smells that it's supposed to help get rid of, spoiled food is one of them. But there's also mold, mildew, there's fish. There's quite a bit of smells on here that I think would be applicable to what we have going on. So we're going to put this to the test in here, and we're going to see how well this works and see what we can do. So let's open it up and show you how simple it is, which is why I want to try this. So let's open it up and show you how simple this is inside. It's not at all rocket science, and this is definitely a thing of set it and forget it. So you'll have inside of it a measuring cup, which you'll put water in, your instructions, and a packet of the kind of reactive material that you're going to use for the odor. So this has a whole lot of instructions, but to be honest with you, it's pretty simple. The main item in this is chlorine dioxide. And chlorine dioxide does not like the light. So you got to make sure that when you use this, that there is no light getting into it. Well, obviously we're going to close the door to the freezer, so that problem's not an issue for us. And then the other thing is that the water that you're going to use needs to at least be warm. It doesn't need to be hot, but you don't want like refrigerated water. You got to have warm water. That helps activate it a little bit better. And you're going to leave the agent in it in the room or whatever you're doing it in for a minimum of 10 to 24 hours. We're going to try to get this thing as close to 24 hours as possible because we got a pretty funky smell. So let's drop it in there and let's talk about it. So this freezer has an external and an internal drain plug. I'm going to leave the external one in to trap as much of the chlorine dioxide in here as I can. But down there, I'm going to leave the internal one out so some of that vapors can hopefully penetrate down into any of that space to maybe help with the smell as well. But before I go ahead and do this, I did kind of just briefly hit it with a little bit of Lysol. It feels dry, but I'm just gonna give it another double wipe down with a towel, make sure, and then we're gonna get this thing put in there. So we'll set the cup there in the middle, put the packet in there, and you don't do nothing special, just set it down in there. You do not cut it open, it will dissolve on its own. Then it's as simple as taking the measuring cup that they give you, we're going to pour it all over it, and then we're just going to close the lid. So it's as simple as that. Like I said, we're going to give this thing 24 hours. And you can actually go to their website and you'll see it'll actually release almost like a yellowish, orangish kind of vapor. And I will tell you that they say it's harmful to people. So when you use this thing, you cannot be in the room with it. But you go to their website for a lot more information. Like I said, I do not know if this is going to work. It worked in a vehicle, but I've not used it in this type of a setting. So we're going to leave that in there for 24 hours. And we'll bring you back tomorrow when we open it up and see how well it did. But in the meantime, we're going to go knock out some afternoon chores, let you see the animals, and then we'll update you and see if it worked out or not. I got out of work a bit late today, so this was an example of where I did have to go by Tractor Supply to get a bag of pig feed. And the sad part is I'm pretty sure I paid about $7 or $8 more for this bag than I usually do at my local mill, but animals got to eat. I don't know what's up with Mayor and Olivia, but they're fighting like cats and dogs up there, so I'll have to go check them out here once we get all the rest of these guys fed. Henry, what you been doing, brother? Any of your chickens come hang out with you today? Do y'all hear this? I don't know if the camera's picking up or not. I mean, they are fighting like I've never heard. Probably can't see them all the way up there. All you guys are two little heads staring at me like, feed me. Y'all get along, I'll be there in a minute. I tell you, Mater may be bigger than Olivia, but Olivia don't play. She gonna push back pretty hard. And you just over here patiently and quiet. Oh, look at that pretty smile. There you go, brother. There you go. Eat up, brother. Chickies, y'all wanna eat? Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. Come on, y'all. Y'all gonna eat? Oh yeah, y'all's food was empty. Look at both the beautiful I Am Samanis. Oh, the super cool Polish. That's my wife's new favorite one. She hasn't been wanting to really get into many of the animals, but she's really loving that new gray Polish. My favorite right now are these amazing looking French black copper Morans we got right there in the back. But this one is my wife's favorite, and it's just as spastic as the original Q-tip. Hey, why y'all fighting? Chloe patrols here to make sure y'all straighten up. You being a jerk? She's not gonna let you love on her if you treat her bad. Let's get y'all some food. Y'all be nice to each other. Acting like that, you'd be ashamed of yourself. You especially, Mater. When it's a hot summer day, I'll dump their food in, and then I'll dump some water in on top of their food. And that just helps them get a little extra hydration, and it'll let everything kind of clump up. Not actually a fermented feed, but it does soften it up and makes it a little easier for them to digest. And since those two were fighting, acting like children, I accidentally kicked over the chicken's feed, so I gotta try to scoop as much of that back up as I can. I guess, thank goodness, these are pellets and not crumble. I can at least get a bulk of it in here. They're gonna be getting leaves and sticks and everything with this. I'm not gonna worry about every little piece, but we'll get as much of it as we can. I'm gonna throw it down on the ground anyways. They're gonna pick it all out. All right, gray broilers, Y'all want your dinner? These birds are looking great, still growing. Now what I've been doing with these guys, honestly, is I just toss the food and let them go after it. Now even though I just toss the food in there and let them go after it, I have noticed where they kind of hang out the most, and that's where most of their poop is. I do make sure that, if you notice I walk along the side there, is I just make sure I don't toss it where, you know, they've been heavily soiling it, because obviously we don't want them to eat a lot of their droppings. But towards the back part of the coop, there's very little droppings, at least that I can tell, and so we just toss it out there, and it actually works out pretty well. It's amazing how well you two get along once you get food in your bellies. You're like a Snickers commercial. You're not yourself when you're hungry. Well guys, that's going to wrap up afternoon chores. The good thing about afternoon chores is they are definitely the shorter of the chores. The mornings is what takes a lot of time, because we want to make sure everybody's got plenty of stuff throughout the main part of the workday. The afternoons, they only got a couple hours before they hit the hay. So we're going to call that a day for today. We're going to bring you right back here when we come out to check on whether or not that item worked in the freezer from Biocide, and see if we can get that funk out. Hey guys, it's the next day, so now we're going to go check and see whether or not this works. I done got my belly full of, I got a little bit of grease splatter on my sweatshirt. Had us some deer sausage biscuits in the morning. Good deer sausage biscuit with some mustard on it. The only thing better than that's a deer tenderloin biscuit. But anyways, belly's full. Let's go check out this freezer and let's see whether or not this thing ended up working or not. So we're not quite at 24 hours, but we're at 18 hours. And it said 10 to 24 hours, so I think that's going to be a good bit. So let's open it up and see what we got. Okay, so note to self. It is clearly working, because when I opened it up, I saw this huge yellow haze. Well, I thought maybe it had somehow stained the fridge or freezer. I pointed in, and when I took a breath, it was a very strong smell. So note to self, if you still see the yellow, don't smell it. So since that thing's still rolling and it's activated, I actually think I'm going to leave it a bit longer so we can get the full effect. But if you see the yellow, don't breathe it in. It does not feel good. All right, y'all, it's been a few hours. I went ahead and cut the grass in between. And now we're pretty much at about 22 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm not going to stick my face in here this time. I'm actually just going to open the lid, let it air out for a little bit, and then I'll stick my face in there and see if it still smells. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's actually like you can see the vapors pouring out of it here. There's most certainly chlorine in this. The best I can describe the smell when I put my head in there, and of course now as it's coming out, but it's not near as strong, is it reminds me of like being in an indoor pool. You go to like a fitness center or something that has an indoor pool, and that really, really strong chlorine smell. It reminds me a lot of that is what it is. I did read online though that it said that if you get so much of an exposure of it, it could be very dangerous to you. So definitely don't do what I did and stick your head in there if it's a very closed-in environment like that. So you can see the little packet down in there, and there's some water still in there. You know, I don't know if what is black in there or gray, if all that would have dissolved out if I would have kept it going on. I really don't know how this content is within it, so I'm not really sure how much longer it would have got. I'm wondering if maybe the reason why it was so strong is since this was rated for a 400 square foot room, and since that freezer's so small, maybe it was just so concentrated within there that it was still going very strong, is the only thing I can think of. So I don't know if it'll come off, but it does appear that a lot of that orangish or yellow color did dissipate once we got it opened up, but there is just a slight tinge of a hue still on it that I don't know if it'll continue to dissipate or if that may have actually stained it just slightly. But at the end of the day, if it gets the smell gone, I'm actually okay with that. So it's been a while. Here's what my thought is of it. inside the actual freezer, I don't smell the bad smell anymore. But I noticed through this little spot right here, I was still smelling some of our issue. Well, when I pull this cover off, I notice there's all this insulation in there. And I believe this insulation has absorbed a lot of that nasty smell that these people had. Well, the issue is where this opening is actually gets blocked off by the thick part of this freezer here. So the device that I used could not penetrate into this. And now that I've got this cover off, I definitely smell how strong it is. So now what I think we're gonna do is that it seems like the main body's good, but I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna get it a good clean, or I may even just replace this insulation altogether with some other form of an insulation. So I think that's gonna be our number one issue now. And if we can fix that, I think we're gonna be good. Yeah, the smell of this is 100% where my issue still is. So this is actually, even though it's in a commercial cleaning bottle, this is nothing more than diluted bleach. And so I'm gonna hit all that real good and let that soak in on the lid. And then we're gonna come in here on the inside of this top here and hit that real good. I kind of wish I'd have recognized this beforehand, because I really think that chlorine dioxide would have done the trick on some of this smell inside this insulation. But when I pulled it out, it's definitely just like a standard insulation. So I'm wondering if I can't just go to like a Home Depot or Lowe's or a hardware store and get something very similar. So I think I'm gonna lay this in the sun like so and let that get a lot of sunlight, dry it out. And sunlight can help disinfect it too before I go put it back on. But definitely when I walk over here, this thing is what really smells. And look at all this nastiness that I think was built up in the area that stuff couldn't permeate. So I think I'm gonna run down to the hardware store real quick and see if I can find it. To me, just looks like standard insulation like you'd use in a house. It's just not as thick. It's only maybe about 2 inches thick or so. So I'm gonna see if I can't find something very similar, cut it to size, tuck it in there, and then see if we get some relief that way. So guys, we went out to the store and I was able to find some insulation that I think is going to work. I've gone ahead and cut it using the overlay as a template because it is pretty much the same size. And since the time we've been gone to coming back, the smell has improved, but I'll be real honest with you, it hasn't improved it to the level that I would have liked or that I feel comfortable using it. So kind of what I'm going to do right now though is I'm going to go ahead and put this in. I'm going to get everything put back together. I'm going to let it continue to air out a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit more here in just a second. So I can tell you, it does smell significantly better. So we're gonna let this air out quite a bit. You know, getting that one smell out of there is probably gonna do me a lot better. So I told you guys in the beginning that I would share my successes and my failures with you. You know, I originally thought, hey, free freezer, bad smell, not gonna be a big issue. We got the freezer for free, but right now with the various cleaning chemicals that I've used to try to clean it up and getting the Biocide systems, shocker, and getting this insulation now, I honestly probably have about $45 invested into trying to make what was supposed to be free a benefit for our family. Right now, it's to be determined whether or not it's going to be successful for us, or if I just wasted that money and could have applied that to something else. So it's going to be, time will tell us. I can tell you it's hard for you being on camera to know. I can tell you from where it was prior to using that and replacing this insulation, it's been a significant improvement. It's just not quite where I want it to be. So what I'm going to try now is we're going to let this thing air out a good bit. We will go ahead and I'll probably go ahead and run a baking soda thing in here since I got this new fresh insulation, and that I do think that that alone has made a more of a significant improvement than what I had anticipated. So I think some of this could be some lingering smell, at least that's what I'm hoping for. And so in one of our future videos, I'll be sure to share with you what this is. So in conclusion, what is my opinion of that Biocide shocker? You know, it did work in my automobile to greatly reduce the smell that was in it. It did greatly reduce the smell that was in this freezer. Is that going to be a one-stop cure-all? Obviously, it is not a good enough product, in my personal opinion, based off of both experiences, to rely upon that to solve your problem. And at the price tag of $20 to $30, depending on which product you buy, you know, you may be better off investing in other options. If I was going to rate the Biocide systems on a scale of 1 to 5, you know, I would probably give it a 3. It helped out, but it didn't eliminate my problem. So that's my opinion of that. If any of y'all are looking at that as a future thing, to try to eliminate an issue that you may have, you know, take mine for what it's worth. There's a lot of people that give it great reviews, but this is my personal experience. If any of you have a suggestion on how we may be able to get past this little bit of a hump on this and be able to put this to use, please throw it down there in the comment section below. I really appreciate it. I've learned so much from you guys. In moments like this is where I can learn from you even more and rely upon your knowledge to help us out. But I'd say we probably have had about a 75% improvement here, but I'd really like to get a little bit better before I start utilizing this. So guys, I hope this helped y'all out. I hope you've been able to learn from what I've used today and a product that I didn't feel like took care of my problem. So guys, stay tuned. We'll have some more stuff coming along your way here real soon. We appreciate you guys. Hope things are going a little bit better for you than what they are for me right now. But nonetheless, we're going to keep our head up. We're going to keep trucking along. And guys, until then, y'all take care of yourself, and we're going to see you here real soon on one of our next episodes. Thanks, guys.